Tennessee was aided by having a really easy schedule this year. I don't think their schedule is going to be as easy. I think that Ryan Tannehill still sucks. I mean, look at Luke over here yawning at the fact of Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. I mean, just unimpressive.
That's the dumbest transition I've ever heard. I think.
Oh my gosh.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. As always, I am your host, Nick, joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke.
How's it going?
And our moderator, Tori.
Hey guys.
We have a little bit more energy this week.
No.
Maybe just a little bit.
Tori, kick us off.
All right. First segment. We're going to start off with the NBA post All-Star game predictions.
Hey, new All-Star break. New All-Star break. Starting this off strong, aren't I? Post All-Star break. Here we go.
Man, they're really doing a lot for NBA 75 this year. A new All-Star break.
Well, I mean, it is later in the season. We only have like a third of the season left instead of the halfway mark because, scheduling. It's going to be exciting, I'm excited for the last part of the season. There's no more trades that are going to happen. The teams are set. Everything's done.
I'm excited too. Because my team has been on the rise, and I was right about that. So let's go.
We'll see.
All right. 3 teams who will improve.
My number one team is the 76ers.
Boston. I was right.
Okay, so
No, go ahead.
evenly back-to-back bias. I said 76ers, you said Boston. We're starting off strong. I think the 76ers will. I don't know if you caught any of the game yesterday against the Timberwolves with Harden coming out. Man, they looked so good. It was so nice to watch.
I did. I kept up a little bit. I watched a little bit more NBA YouTube videos.
36 free throws. They went 30 for 36 from the free throw line. They got fouled a lot. Harden looks amazing on this team. Harden ended up with 27 points, 12 assists, and 8 rebounds. He went 5 for 7 from 3, tying Ben Simmons on the all-time 76ers three-point record sheet in one game.
And he was their third leading scorer, third most.
Embiid dropped 34 and Tyrese Maxey dropped 28. Which, by the way, Tyrese Maxey, 12 for 16 from the field. He's had a great season, but we've been running him more as a point guard. He's had to go out there and play make. He doesn't have to do that now. He can just score, and it's amazing. It was so fun to watch. The coaching was great. There were so many good play calls, designs. You could see Embiid and Harden working well together. It was beautiful. I think they're going to be really good. They fit together well. They talked. They joked. On the bench, they were communicating and scheming. I'm so excited for this team. I really think this team's going to be really good post All-Star.
Yeah. I actually agree with you because Philadelphia was one of my team. I think after that game, granted, it's Minnesota. It's not like the best team in the league, but Minnesota's no slouch.
Minnesota is currently, hang on, I'm looking in the East. In the West, they're the 7th seed, 32 and 28.
Yeah.
Which,
like I said, they're no slouch. Yeah. But if that's going to be hard to overlook, let's say, what Harden went out there and did in Philadelphia on his first day, yeah, that's going to be a good team. But that's going to make for some good competition in the East because my team is the Celtics did exactly what I said they would do. They didn't trade their big 3 and they got better. Maybe I should be in the Celtics front office.
I stand by what I say about the Celtics. They do this every year for the last 4 or 5 seasons. They start off slow, do super good the second half of the season, and then disappear in the playoffs.
I'm going to say exactly what I said to you over text last time you said that. You pushed that narrative, Philadelphia fan. You pushed that narrative.
I'm going to because it's happened the last 4 seasons, and I keep getting hyped for the Celtics every year. Tatum and Brown, great duo. They're going to go out, be strong. They're going to do amazing. Look at this second half resurgence. No. Then they go out the playoffs and die about either 1 or 2 rounds in.
No, they'll be fine this year. I mean, the trades they made have impacted the team so significantly. It's crazy how much of a winning streak they've been on. Derek White was such a monumental pickup. And like, I didn't even know who that was before he was traded to the Celtics. I mean, Robert Williams been playing well. Grant Williams plays well when he comes in sometimes. Obviously, you got the big three. This team's built for success. It's exactly what we expect from the Celtics every season. That much, at least, is true. But I'm excited to see where Boston goes. I think they'll do really well.
My number 2 team is Brooklyn. Listen, Durant's supposed to be back in around a week to 2 weeks. Ben's supposed to be back in between 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, about a month for Ben. New York is about to change, might be about to change their law so Kyrie can play full time. Now,
No, don't give in.
Don't get me wrong. There's not a lot of season left. Losing these guys for another 2 weeks with how Brooklyn's currently been playing, with who they have currently, it's going to be tough. They're going to have to fight. But when Kevin Durant comes back, I think they'll win. They'll go on a winning streak. When Ben Simmons comes back, that defense is going to get better, and I think they're going to win games. Kyrie might come back, and then it's going to be full-time. They still have a really, really tough schedule up ahead. They play teams like Milwaukee, the 76ers. They play Boston. They play a lot of really tough teams on their upcoming schedule. But
Boston has been dominating them so far.
yeah, I think it all just comes down to if everyone comes back, if everyone's healthy, if everyone plays well, I think they can be a really good team. And I think that they can absolutely get some stuff together. Like they play Milwaukee, Toronto twice, Miami, Boston, Charlotte, Philly, New York, Orlando. Like there's not a lot of games left. The games keep going until about April 10th. So they have about maybe a month to get stuff together. A month, maybe a month and a half.
There's not a lot of time for a team who's like two big stars haven't played at home together in like 2 months.
They're currently 31-29 and sitting in the 4th seed. They got to get their stuff together. They got to get it together. They got to try to put some stuff together. But that being said, they get healthy. They get some of these stars back. They get Durant back. I think they play a lot better the second half of this season than what they did in the first half.
Okay. Like I said, my second team was the 76ers. But I do want to correct myself because I think I called their division the East. And I'm not sure why. I think I was thinking Eastern Conference. But the Atlantic Division, that's insane competition right now.
Who cares about divisions in basketball? There's no divisions don't influence anything. Those aren't important anymore. That's just scheduling. You just play a team like 2 or 3 times more in the season.
And dominate them every time in Boston and Brooklyn's case. Let's go Celtics. But no, Philadelphia. They're going to improve. It's undeniable. And I think out of the Atlantic Division and the greater Eastern Conference, Boston and Philadelphia are going to be up there.
All right. Hear me out. My final team. Hear me out.
All right, I'm listening.
I know what's going to happen when I say this. I think the Lakers are going to get... Listen. It's nothing the Lakers have done. Nothing the Lakers have done has impressed me.
That is the most Lakers thing I have heard in the last week.
Listen. Everything is going right for them right now. The Suns lose Chris Paul. That's big. The Warriors have been kind of on a decline. They're still playing super well, but they've cooled off a bit. Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. Ja can't stay healthy. He ended up missing like a quarter of the game because of a foot injury again.
Right.
The Jazz are never, what?
Is his ankle again or something?
Something like that. The Jazz are never consistent. And then you look at the rest of these teams above them. Dallas, Luka, who knows? Denver, Jokic, who knows? Minnesota, young. The Clippers don't have a star player. And then there are the Lakers, right there at the 9 seed right now. Every team above them right now is either a who knows or suffering from some kind of injury. I think the Lakers, especially because of the second half, it's LeBron James. He's going to make this playoff push like he always does. Anthony Davis might come back healthy. Their bench is starting to kind of look a little bit better. Malik Monk still looks really good. Austin Reeves is getting starting time. Russ is trying to calm down and settle down. They just had a loss yesterday against the Clippers. They lost 105-102. I don't know what this Clippers team is on. They have no stars or anyone important, and for some reason they're still winning games. But I mean, I'm looking at this game and I watched it live, and The Lakers just cannot hit a three to save their life. They went 8 for 31 from the 3-point line.
Imagine sucking.
I still think that everything else is going right for them with the other teams to where I think they can get a little bit better.
Okay. I can see where you're coming from, and I hate that, but I have to disagree with you. My third team that I think can improve is actually the Charlotte Hornets.
Ooh.
I think LaMelo Ball has pretty much proven he can play with the big boys. He's a star in his own right already. And it's not like he doesn't have a bad supporting cast in Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, who I like from his time in Boston. I think I have a Hayward jersey from when he was in Boston, actually. But yeah, no, I think the Charlotte Hornets actually have a chance to improve pretty quickly. They just snapped a 3-game losing streak with a win over Toronto. And if things keep up, that's a pretty good way to start the post-All-Star game season schedule.
The only reason I'll disagree with you is because Charlotte doesn't have a big. Like, Miles Bridges is their power forward. He's only like 6'7", 6'8". He's small for a forward for a center. That's tall again.
6'8". Not small.
For NBA, it's small. They have no star center. Their starting center, if I'm not wrong, is Mason Plumlee, who's not a top center. They have no post protection because their forwards are small. Gordon Hayward is not a good defender at all. I think he's like bottom 5 in defensive rating this year.
I don't even think I mentioned Mason Plumlee and Terry Rozier and all those guys.
Their guard plays great. Terry Rozier is great on defense. Like, they put up points. The issue is that they can't defend. That's my issue with Charlotte. Until they get a starting caliber center, like not even a great center, just a starting caliber center, they're not going to do it. Because Mason Plumlee is not that guy. I'm just not impressed by their bigs because none of them are very big. Kelly Oubre comes off the bench. He's good, but he's more of a shooting guard, small forward.
Yeah.
I just popped up the roster, and I mean, they got Montrezl Harrell. He's a good center, but he's still only like 6'7", 6'8". He's still small for a center.
6'7", 240.
Yeah. I mean, power forwards, Kai Jones, who's like, he's 6'10". Like, I'm looking at this, their centers are Mason Plumlee and Nick Richards, who are 6'11" and 7 foot, but so if Mason Plumlee or Nick Richards really turn the tables and make you think, oh, that's a starting center right there. Small.
Yeah. I mean,
as someone who is my height, I'm terrified of these heights that you guys are naming.
Tori, you're like what, 5'5", 5'7", something like that?
Giving me extra height. I'm 5'3".
Oh, I don't know. You're short. I'm never gonna reach that 6 foot. I've been 5'11" for like 2 years, so I'm just gonna chill here.
Look, I'm not saying any of the Charlotte Hornets like big men are Joel Embiid. All right, you're right. They don't have like that big star guy at center, but I think what they can do is assess their situation, make a game plan around it, and maybe make a little bit of a splash here in the post All-Star schedule.
Well, now that we've gone through the 3 teams that you guys think will improve, let's go through the 3 teams y'all think will regress.
I think the Clippers will regress. Like I said it earlier, they have no stars. Paul George is out. Kawhi Leonard might be out for the season. Norman Powell's kind of been getting hurt left and right a little bit. I think this team is running on great coaching from Ty Lue and fumes off of guys like Reggie Jackson. I don't think that they can stay consistently this good. They're sitting right there at the 500 mark. They're kind of scraping by. I think they're 31-31 right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 31-31. They're sitting at 500. They're in the 8th seed. I think they're going to kind of cool off. They have definitely some underrated players. Terrence Mann, Zubac. I think they're all great players. I think they're going to kind of calm down until they get one of their stars back.
Right. The position they're in, it just takes one bad losing streak at the wrong time to find themselves on the outside looking in. So that's a good pick right there. My first team that's going to regress, Brooklyn Nets. There's not enough time left for them.
Fair.
You're coming back with 2 stars, yes, 2 talented guys, but you're banking on them being 100%, not rusty, working together effectively, and then getting the actual wins against these other great teams in the league. There's not enough time left.
My only thing about that, we said the same thing about Kevin Durant when he came off his ACL tear, and he came up and put MVP numbers. We said Ben Simmons being rusty isn't a factor. Ben Simmons doesn't shoot anything besides a layup. He's kind of a very generic player. And then Kyrie still plays. So that's kind of my thinking there. Kevin Durant's proven us wrong before. Ben Simmons.
Kyrie plays a tenth of all the scheduled games. Yeah, he still plays. I don't think there's enough time.
Time is the issue for them right now.
And even on the injury thing, it just takes one more small injury to derail everything.
Yeah.
And you don't know who that's going to be. Could be a star again. It could be one of the guys that just traded for.
My second team is the Suns. Like I said back in my Lakers little talk, the Suns don't have Chris Paul for like 4 weeks. We saw their game yesterday. I forget who it was that they played, but the starting point guard of the team ended up dropping like 30-something. When you look at their point guard depth, Cam Payne is not a defensive guy. Devin Booker has shown since then that he can play make, and he's put up good numbers playmaking. He's learned from the best. At the same time, if you step down that much defensively against any form of a guard, especially in the current league, they lost to New Orleans, and it was
That's a tough loss, yeah.
Anyway, like I was saying, it's tough, and they're losing an all-star player, their leader. Like, this is a big piece to lose for this game. CJ McCollum dropped 32 points on 11 for 18 shooting. Devin Booker dropped 30. He had 5 assists. He had 12 assists in a game a few days ago, but they're a very good team. The Suns really are. But you lose Chris Paul, you lose your leader, you lose your playmaker, you lose amazing defense at the guard position. I just think that it's going to hurt them a lot more than people think, whether this team is really good or not.
Yeah, that's fair. My second team is the Portland Trail Blazers. I don't think they improved much in this late part of the season. And I know you're not a fan of Damian Lillard out there in Portland, but it's like they should have big names, right? This whole season, they should have big names putting up numbers, but it's just not been enough to be a contending team. And I don't think it will become a contending team this late in the season. That's not to say their guys aren't talented, right? Because they are. Eric Bledsoe, obviously, game time. They've got guys.
Eric Bledsoe, big time. What a... Okay.
I said Dame time, not big time.
Well, Dame's hurt. He's been hurt.
True, exactly. And that factors into it. Like, it's like Brooklyn. There's not enough time left for this team to put something together this season. I think that much is obvious.
Can you fall off if you were never at the top?
Yes.
They're 25 and 35 right now. They've been running Anthony Simmons a lot. I'm really excited for him. I think Portland is in a weird spot because they kind of did a very good job at doing a two-way thing. They can either go into this offseason with a lot of money and rebuild around Dame, or they can go into this offseason with Dame as a trade tool and make trades to rebuild. So they can either reload or rebuild. And I think that they did a really good job at being both, keeping Dame, trading CJ, getting rid of contracts, keeping Anthony Simmons.
Watch Portland get the number 1 pick. They're going to tank the rest of the season.
I mean, they'd have to fall down. They'd have to think that teams like Houston won't blow it. I mean, with the lottery, you never freaking know. Houston and Orlando and Detroit are all kind of destroying themselves. I mean, the Clippers are God, I can't remember teams. The Trailblazers are currently in the play-in. They're the 10th seed. So they're currently in the play-in. They're technically somewhat a playoff team. So
somehow, they'll find themselves on the outside looking in, if I'm not wrong.
My final team, which I'm not too sure about this one, but I kind of feel like I wanted to point this out, the Cavs. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I think they're a very good team. I still think they'll make the playoffs. Like, I don't think that they're going to be the 5 seed like they are right now. They're too young. I've said this before with teams. I don't like young teams because they can never seem to get it done. You always have to have like a veteran guy. That's my gripe with like the Grizzlies. Great young team. They don't have that big veteran guy. Like the Cavs have Kevin Love, who is a veteran guy. He's a very good player. I don't think he's a big guy that's going to make a big lead off in the playoffs for them.
So it's not just that they need a veteran guy; it's that they need a star veteran guy.
They need a starter veteran guy. Like the Suns were a good young team, and then they got Chris Paul. Milwaukee, they went out and got Drew Holiday. Chicago, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, like you can look at some of these teams and you realize like they pulled a guy in and suddenly they're really good, or they have this older veteran guy that makes them really good. The Clippers, Kawhi and Paul George, veteran guys. Like they're obviously a good young team now. They're 31. The Clippers are 31 and 31. Doesn't matter without Paul George or Kawhi. I don't think they're going to do anything. So my thing with the Cavs is they're just too young. That and their guard play is not great. They have Darius Garland and then they have nobody. None of their other guards are really that good. Cedi Osman is not great. I can't even name the rest of their guards off the top of my head. I'm not impressed by their guard play, which in the current league is kind of what you need. They have great big men. They have a great team. I think they'll be very good next season, maybe the year after, especially if they get in a veteran guy who can play well for them. I don't think that I think they're going to kind of cool off a little bit and fall down. I don't think they're going to be the 4 seed like they are now. I think it was the 4 seed that I said. The 5 seed. I think they'll end up being 8 and 9. I think they'll be that play.
That is a far drop.
It's really not when you look at the teams. The difference between the 1 seed and the 3 seed currently is 2.5 games. The difference between the 1 seed and the 7 seed is 6 games. Like that's less than a week of winning streak right now.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy. The East is very wide open. Like it doesn't go to 10 games until the 10th seed. Like between the only thing separating the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks right now are 10.5 games, which is definitely doable.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. It's funny how much of a case by case basis it is for a lot of these teams, because you got guys like the Hornets. You say their problem is big man, and then you've got guys like Cleveland who have good big men, but they don't have good enough guards. And it's just funny how it's case by case.
This is what makes a good basketball. Like you look at some of these top teams and you realize that they have good guards and good centers. Miami, Jimmy Butler, I can't name their Al Horford. Yeah, Boston. Boston's all right. I'm not big on their point guard play. I think their point guard kind of needs work. But
yeah, you've brought it up before. I know.
But I still think Boston has the scoring enough and very underrated playmaking. And Tatum's kind of taking a step up. But what's your third team, Luke? Come on, we got stuff we got to get to. Long segment coming up.
My last team that will regress. Drum roll, please.
No.
LA Lakers.
Fair enough.
I hate the Lakers. LeBron says he wants to stay in there and chase a ring. That's not going to happen. You suck. The Lakers suck. That's all I got to say about it. Go play with your son when he gets in the league. Just anywhere but the Lakers, you'll be better off.
Luke, is your reasoning for this really, I hate the Lakers and don't?
Mm-hmm. I have said multiple times, I don't know why anybody likes the Lakers.
Ladies and gentlemen, please save me from this podcast. I got to deal with this every freaking week. Come on.
Next segment.
Screw the Lakers.
No, we're just moving on.
Beat LA. Beat LA.
Next segment. Thank you, Lou, for that great take on the Lakers.
LA. Beat LA.
Okay. Next segment. NFL. The only thing we're talking about is all 32 teams. Will they be better, worse, or the same next season? So let's get started. This is going to be a super long segment.
Okay. This will be the last NFL segment for a while. Unless something crazy happens like Aaron Rodgers or something. I just wanted to do one last. I got to get my money out of the NFL for this. Come on. Got one last thing, and then we'll take a break from the NFL. Okay?
Cry. All right. Arizona Cardinals.
Same. Their coach is still Kingsbury. I think Kyler will be interesting because I don't know if he's happy out there. There have been talks of him getting traded, but I honestly don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just Kyler wanting to get a paycheck, which, fair enough.
Yeah.
What do we expect from someone from FaZe Clan? So
He's not wrong.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be about the same. I think they might be a little bit worse because if Kyler's unhappy, he's not going to play well. But D-Hop's going to come back. They still have a great team. It's going to be interesting. I think they'll get a few more people in. Still don't like Kingsbury as a head coach, but we'll see.
I would go so far as to say slightly better next season. I mean, what you say, right? If Kyler doesn't like the situation, he's not going to play well. But I think they have this offseason to get it figured out, and I think they will. I don't think this is going to be like huge star drama like we've seen in other sports. But no, I would go so far as to say Arizona will be slightly better.
Atlanta Falcons.
Worse. Matt Ryan's not getting any younger. This team still sucks. And on top of that, their star receiver in Calvin Ridley wants to leave. He does not want to be there. I think that they're going to regress. I think they're going to keep getting worse. Even though that division got worse with Tom Brady leaving, still I think they're going to be a medium team of next year.
I think as far as league standing goes, this team will be about the same. It'll stand to see who leaves Atlanta next season. But assuming everybody that's there now stays and they are somewhat smart with their offseason, this team will probably stay about the same.
Baltimore Ravens.
Better. They're getting Lamar Jackson back. They might get Antonio Brown, who, volatile mess as a person, still a great wide receiver. He's going to be a great weapon for them. Him and Hollywood are going to be working together. It's going to be cousins at work. And you got, oh my God, sorry, excuse me. Lamar isn't coming back healthy. We forget that this is still a top-level quarterback. They're going to make trades to try to get linebackers and defensive help in. I've already seen ties for them with Seattle for either DK or Bobby Wagner, who is going to be amazing. Who would be amazing middle linebacker for that team. But I think they're going to get better. I really do.
Yep. Baltimore should get better. They should get better. They've got the pieces. They've got the talent. They should get better.
Buffalo Bills.
Better. I think Allen grows and he gets older. And on top of that, they had a top defense last year. It showed that it wasn't as amazing. People are going to want to play with Josh Allen. People are going to want to play with him. After last season, after the last 2 seasons, he's shown that he keeps growing. He's shown that he can do it again. I think people are going to want to go play for them. They have a lot of cap money. Josh Allen's still on his rookie contract. They've been very good with getting contracts together. Stephon Diggs is expensive, but not crazy. They still have great pieces. They can move pieces around. They can get new players in. That division is still really bad. I think they're going to do better next year.
So, comparatively, this team will be the same. Like, comparing them to the rest of the league, they'll be in the same spot. They'll be contenders. That's not going to change. Does the team itself get slightly better? Maybe. Does their overall standing in the league get any better? No, because I don't think it can get much better. I think they're going to find themselves in the same place, just better equipped to make a run.
Carolina Panthers.
I think they'll get better. Their biggest downfall was that their O-line was crap, McCaffrey can't stay healthy, and their quarterback was bad. In short, they just lacked on offense. I think they're going to draft a better quarterback. I think they're going to rebuild this O-line a bit this offseason. And on top of that, I think they're going to trade Christian McCaffrey. There have been big talks of him being traded. I think they get more draft picks. They get a new running back in. I mean, they still had a really good backup running back. I think it was Chuba Hubbard, the running back from Oklahoma State. It was a top level who played for them most of the season and did well. He did fine behind what was essentially a really bad O-line. I think they're going to go with Kenny Pickett in the draft is what I've been hearing a lot with. They get that athletic quarterback in. They get a good young running back. They build up that O-line. They had a top level defense last season. I think they'll be back. I think they'll get better. And on top of that, the division's getting worse. Tom Brady's gone. The Falcons are getting older. If I'm not mistaken, that's their division. I'm pretty sure that's the Panthers division. Hang on. No, that's the Jaguars division. What division are the Panthers in? Hang on. Oh, no, I was right. That's the Panthers division. The Jaguars are the worst division. Yeah. The Saints are still in cap hell. I think that this team's going to do better next year.
I am going to say they get worse to stay the same. Like, if they trade their quarterback, that's probably the right option. But the problem with this draft is that you've heard it. I know you have. This is a relatively bad quarterback draft. So if you're going to get a quarterback out of this draft, you got to make it a commitment, right? You got to spend the money, spend the time to develop that guy. And if you're hoping for a one-season turnaround for any of these guys going pro, don't expect that from them. I think this team either gets comparatively worse or they stay the same.
I think hyping up quarterbacks or saying quarterbacks are good or bad is ridiculous at this point. I mean, look at last season's quarterback draft. It was supposed to be this generational quarterback class. Yes, Trevor Lawrence was so good. Zach Wilson was so good. Trey Lance didn't play. The best quarterback in this draft was probably Davis Mills last season. Like, I'm sorry. Hyping up, downgrading quarterbacks. I mean, Dwayne Haskins was a hyped up quarterback. He's been bad. People didn't think Kyler Murray's height, with his height and everything, they thought he'd be a waste. He was still a number one pick, but they still had huge doubts. He's proven that wrong. Josh Allen, a late draft pick. Where did he do? I mean, let's look at everything down to like Tom Brady. I mean, like, he was all the way down, late pick. I think looking at quarterbacks and just saying they're bad or good is stupid. So I'm just going to grade quarterbacks as quarterbacks. I still think that all quarterbacks are overrated until they prove themselves. We've seen guys, but yeah. So for that reason, I think that they'll be better. I think that they can get it together with Kenny Pickett.
It depends on the team they go to, not the quarterback at this point.
Chicago Bears.
Same. I think they got a new head coach in. He can be better than Matt Nagy, but it's still a super young team with so many questions.
It took maybe 5 seconds for you to mention Matt Nagy being gone.
Well, that's the big thing. They don't have Matt Nagy anymore. I mean, nobody wants to go to Chicago anymore. It's not a big place anymore. The defense isn't amazing. The offense is meh. I mean, it's just a super young team right now. It's going to be, and as I've proven with the NBA, I don't like young teams. It's too many question marks. Until the team proves it, I think they're going to be about the same. I think they're going to be around the bottom of that division, unless like Aaron Rodgers leaves, in which case they might be second, maybe third. But
I'm right there with you. They'll be the same. Mostly the same reasons. I don't really have anything new to add to that.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Worse. Listen, I wasn't hype on the Bengals. That's pretty obvious. On top of that, their division's getting better. The Steelers don't have Big Ben anymore. Baker's going to be healthy. Cleveland's going to be healthy. The Ravens are going to be healthy. They had everything go right for them this year, all the way down until maybe the Chiefs game. I think that that's the real time where they actually prove that they're a good team. And on top of that, it's their defense that's really good. Their defense was amazing. Still not sold on that O-line. Joe Burrow's even more hurt now. His other leg got messed up. You can't keep hurting your quarterback and expect him to play at a top level consistently. I think this team's going to get worse.
Cincinnati gets worse. This was their 1 year. Joe Burrow's going to want out. Literally all their big stars are going to want out at this point. There's no reason for them to stay. There's really not. There's greener pastures. So it's going to get worse for Cincinnati as a team. But hopefully it gets better for these individual players that try to get out.
Cleveland Browns.
Better. Baker Mayfield's going to be healthy. This team still has its star players. Myles Garrett's still there. They're going to draft wide receiver help. They still have a top-tier O-line. They still have amazing running backs. They have great trade pieces if they need to. If they need to trade like Kareem Hunt, they can. A lot of teams need a running back. I think that this team will get better. Baker will be healthy. I think that they'll play in this division well. It's still a very tough division. It's going to be hard for them, but I think that they're going to be better.
So I would go as far as to say same to better, mostly because I don't know what this draft looks like for receivers, and that's really
Oh, it's
one
pretty
of the.
good receiver. It's a pretty good receiver class.
It is a good receiver draft.
Like there's 6 or 7 receivers you could see going first off the board and be like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's a pretty
Well,
darn deep receiving class.
hopefully Cleveland gets someone good there to help Baker. I think this team really comes down to Baker Mayfield. This is going to be his last chance.
This
Nick,
is
you're
his
gonna
big
want
chance.
to. Sorry.
What's up, Tori? Jeez.
Nick, you're gonna want to wait to comment on this next team, Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
So am I going first then, or is he?
I just thought you'd get excited.
I'll just say my one thing real quick. I think Dallas is going to be the same. They need a safety. There have been times with them for the guys like Jesse Bates. I think that'll be really good for them. Same time, the coaching is still shit. You still have Mike McCarthy as your head coach. Your coaching is terrible. I still think Dak is overrated right now. Your schemes just aren't that amazing. I still think you're going to be a great team because of how much talent and skill you have. I think Micah Parsons might even be Defensive Player of the Year next season. That being said, I still don't like the coaching. I still don't like the overall team. And it just hasn't proven to me that y'all can beat really good teams. So for that reason, I think Dallas will be about the same. I don't think they're going to get better. I don't think they'll get worse. It's going to be Dallas.
Your criticisms are somewhat justified. I understand the hesitation with McCarthy in the head coaching slot, but I think they should take this offseason to make the right moves, right? Safety, some linemen, just general help. If they move on from Zeke at running back, I think they'll be good. I think Tony Pollard is the better option at this point. I think Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore need to kind of not mature, but like they just need to make better decisions. Crunch time, late game, late season. Like we all know, Kellen Moore tried to hide the playbook, stopped running some of the plays they had. Dan Quinn, though, and that defense still has the ability to carry this team if it needs to. I don't think it will. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to carry Dallas because Dallas is a great squad. But Dan Quinn is an amazing defensive coordinator, and we have amazing talent on the defense. Dallas is going to get better.
Denver Broncos.
If they get Aaron Rodgers, they'll get better if they get Aaron Rodgers.
This is kind of one of my things. I have like a few teams here where I'm like better to same because of. If they get Aaron Rodgers, better. This is a tough division though. The Chiefs, the Chargers, Las Vegas, not great, but still a good team. Denver's defense is amazing. I think they'll be either the same without him if they still have to go out there and play with like Drew Lock, or if they play with like Jimmy Garoppolo, I think they'll be the same. I think they can take that step with Aaron Rodgers. If they get Aaron Rodgers, they are going to be better. But as much as I want to like Aaron Rodgers as a player, I hate him as a human being. He's getting on my freaking nerves at this point. But that's just where I stand with Aaron Rodgers.
I think Denver will be the same. I think what you said is pretty much similar. Great defense. About it. They have to get literally the biggest name in the league at quarterback right now to take another step. That's a lot that has to go right. This team will be the same. That's where I stand on it.
Detroit Lions.
They're going to be the same. There's no.
Start us off. But...
Well, we have the magic of editing.
We do have the magic.
I was gonna I told you to keep going. I was telling you to have.
You ran out of stuff to say, Nick.
The Lions. I think they're gonna be the same. They're a young team. I still don't think Jared Goff is that guy. I don't think he's the answer. That being said, they have the second overall pick. A very good wide draft class that can take whatever they want. They still have a really underrated O-line. Their defense, they got young players. The rookies played pretty well last year. They get in a good receiver. They get in maybe a good defensive player. I think that this team can be good, especially if Aaron Rodgers leaves that division, because then that division becomes Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago, Jordan Love at quarterback for Green Bay. I think that division becomes way more open than what it's been. I think that they have the ability to get better if the players take that step. I don't think that they will. I'm not sure. They have an amazing, this is going to be what we can see if Dan Campbell, we know he's a great hype guy. We know he's a great leader. Let's see if he can build. This is where we see with this team what they can do.
Detroit is going to stay the same. There are two conditions to get better: is get a good draft pick, Aaron Rodgers leads the division. Half of that is something
very likely this year.
Half of that is something they can control, and even then, what? How many first-round picks does Detroit have?
They have the Rams, and then they have the number 2 pick. I think that's all they have this year.
So okay, so they've got two first-rounders. They've got to get big names if they're going to do anything right. If you're Detroit, you're hoping.
I'm not really looking at these teams as like, oh, they're going to get so much better and become a playoff contender.
Oh, no, absolutely
I think Detroit will do better than 3-13. That's what I think. I think I think they might get 6 wins this year. I think they might go 6-11.
They might go 4-12.
Yeah, I think they'll be better overall. I think their record will be better. I don't think that they're going to be like this big playoff team. But I think that they're going to get better.
They won't be a playoff team for like the next decade or so.
Well, remember earlier in the pod I said that Detroit could be a team in a couple of years we see something with. I'm sitting by that. If they can build a good team, they can coax a quarterback. That's all they need. They don't have to draft QB. And the year after, I mean, they do bad next season. I mean, they tank for that number 1 pick and they get what's going to be a much better quarterback class. So
hopefully,
should be.
Green Bay Packers.
Worse, even if Aaron Rodgers stays, this team is it's about to go into cap hell. It's about to join the Saints there. They don't have enough money to pay their players. They have too many stars on that team. I think they're going to lose players. Aaron Rodgers wants like $50 million. They're going to have to rework like the whole team to get stuff together. And then there's always the possibility that Aaron Rodgers just leaves and you're stuck with Jordan Love at quarterback, who has been proven to not be a good quarterback. So,
yep, we agree on this one, and for pretty much the same reasons, right? They're going to get worse, even if Aaron Rodgers stays, because they've proven they can make the playoffs. Once they do, they can't do much. They've proven that now. Aaron Rodgers knows it, despite how much he says he likes Green Bay and wants to stay. He knows it.
He can like Green Bay. He can like the team. He can like the players. He can like the people. He hates the front office, and he hates how they manage the team.
And exactly what you said about cap space. They've got contracts expiring. If they want these big guys to stay, they're going to have to pay ridiculous amounts of money. Green Bay's done. They're going to get worse.
Houston Texans.
Same or actually worse. Davis Mills needs to take a step. This is going to be where we see what he does. Whatever they get in a trade for Deshaun Watson, if he goes to, like I've heard ties to him going to Minnesota, to the Buccaneers, to the Eagles. If any of those trades happen, they get some draft picks, they get some new young players in. I think that could be good. But I think they took a step down at the head coach. I honestly think Lovey is not as good as what David Culley was. I think this team's going to get worse because this is not a team. When you look at their record last year, you're kind of scratching your head. They ended up going 4-13, which doesn't seem like scratching your head until you realize what this team plays with. They honestly should have had 1, maybe 2 wins. They should have been right there with Detroit. I wasn't impressed by this team. I continue to not be impressed by it. I think they're going to take a step down. I think they got worse at the coaching position. Their team is still not great. Deshaun one's gone. Brandon Cooks, their star wide receiver, one's gone. I just not in on this team.
I did not know Cooks wanted out, but
would you not want out of Houston?
Well, yeah, that's fair. The Texans are going to stay the same solely because there's not much further down they can go.
Indianapolis Colts.
Worse.
They should get better. No, they should get better.
better if they get rid of Wentz. If they trade Wentz like they want and they get in a guy, like there's been tides for them to get Rodgers or Wilson. If they get one of those guys in, I think that they can get better, of course. I really do. I think they'll get over that 500 mark. If they stay with Carson Wentz after this whole offseason of them wanting to trade him, going to drop him. If they drop him, I don't know who they're going to get. They're going to go out there and get a Jimmy G type player if they can't trade him because it's just what it is. So I'm not impressed by this. I wasn't impressed by this team last year. I don't think that they're going to be great. I think that they're a very good team. Jonathan Taylor is great. Their O-line's great. Their defense has good pieces. They still have no weapons. Their best receiver this year was Michael Pittman. The quarterback position is a huge question mark. I think they'll either stay the same or get slightly worse unless they get a star quarterback. In which case, of course, they're going to get better. But if they roll Carson Wentz again, or if they get just settled Jimmy G, not big on this team.
Okay. Yeah, it's all going to come down to quarterback. I mean, JT has proven he's a really good running back, someone they can depend on. They've got to get a better quarterback than Wentz. And they maybe have to get another option at wide receiver, like another good option. But I'm hopeful for Indianapolis. I think they've got the ability to take that next step somewhat easily. So I say they get better.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think they get better. Trevor Lawrence gets another year. It's his next season. Still have a huge amount of cap space. I think it's like $60 million in cap. They have a way better head coach now, a head coach who might actually stay the whole season. Doug Peterson's a good quarterback coach. He made Carson Wentz look like an MVP candidate. I think if he can do that, he can get Trevor Lawrence looking above average. They get in new guys. They get in young guys. They have the number 1 overall pick. They can go wherever they want. They can draft Evan Neal at O-line. They can draft Aiden Hutchinson at defensive line. Like, there's plenty of picks that they can go out there and use right now. And I think that with how much cap money they have and how young this team is, they're going to be better than the number 1 overall pick. I still think they might end up being a lottery pick. They might win maybe 3 or 4 more games. I don't expect them to be amazing. I expect them to be better.
Okay. This is another bottom of the league team where they're worse, they're better, and they're same are all pretty close. Hopefully, Lawrence comes into himself more in the league. Hopefully. Jacksonville doesn't have a whole lot going on around him, but Lawrence is a good place to start. They got a good coach for it. Maybe they'll get better. Maybe they do. For now, I'm going to say same because Trevor Lawrence is not their only problem, but maybe they get better.
With Jacksonville, what I look at for them is that last game against the Colts. That 26-11 game.
Stupid.
Like, okay, you can say what you want about how the game went. Trevor Lawrence threw for 223 yards and 2 touchdowns. They're going to be getting their running backs back. Like, they had their starting running back, I forget, Robinson, he was hurt. Travis Etienne got hurt early in the season. He'll be in there. That's going to be 2 big helps. They still have good receivers. Like Marvin Jones Jr., Laviska Shenault are okay receivers. They get it. They go out there. They get another good receiver. This defense showed that it can stop a good offense. They can stop the run game. Josh Allen's still a great linebacker.
They can stop them exactly when you don't want them to.
I am very interesting to see. I think that this team, if you look at that last game especially, we saw what they can be. You put in a good head coach. You put in a couple more pieces. I think this can be a really, really good team.
I'd love to see them improved based off my relationship with them this past season.
One bad pick and never again.
Never again. Kansas City Chiefs.
Same. They're the Chiefs. The only reason I say that they can get better is I've heard rumors about them trading for Christian McCaffrey, which you get him out from behind that really bad Panthers O-line. You put him on a really good Chiefs O-line. You give him a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. You give Patrick Mahomes that much of a running and receiving weapon in Christian McCaffrey. on top of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. I think that's the only way this team can get better, is if they get in a running back like that. Besides that, they're the Chiefs. They're still a top team. I think they'll be around the same. I mean, they went 12-5. I don't think we can expect much more from them. But
Yeah, I agree. They'll be the same. If they were going to trade for McCaffrey, I can only worry what they'd have to give up. But
their first round pick. It's a running back. Nobody trades much for running backs.
well, yeah, but he's going to the Chiefs, right? And everybody knows the Chiefs are contenders. They're going to try. If I'm them, I'm trying to get something big back in return before I buff a Super Bowl contending team anymore.
It's the Panthers, and they're trading an injury-prone running back who knows if he'll play well or even play at all. Who knows what they're getting at?
Who knows? Yeah, the Chiefs will be the same.
When you're trading an injury-prone player on top of trading a running back, which is now a dying position, because we've seen like a star running back can't carry you if they have a bad quarterback play. You see that with Derrick Henry, with
Carson Wentz,
you lose it. Running backs can only take you so far. Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, like those are arguably the three best running backs in the league right there. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor. Two of those teams did make the playoffs, and the other one was a 1 seed without him and then got blown out in the first round.
I do want to mention though, when you say about trading an injury-prone player, that's what the Eagles did with Wentz. Wentz didn't get injured.
We got away with that one. I don't know. Like everyone said when that trade happened that we fleeced them. And as the trade goes on now, people are still like, they got 2 first-round picks for Wentz, and now they're going to drop. The Eagles won that trade. I don't know how we did that, but he did. That's a one-time thing. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, Carson was supposed to be injury-prone. Like the biggest statute of his contract was whether or not he got injured, the Eagles would get their picks. So I'd hesitate to say injury-prone.
He stayed healthy. He just sucked. But that's beside the point. He played every game. He just sucked.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Worse. It's Vegas. That's literally my reasoning that I put here.
See,
Raiders,
you're doing
worse. It's Las Vegas.
You're doing what I do for the Lakers.
No, because they went 10-7. And then you look at that division, the Chiefs, the Chargers are going to get better. The Broncos might get Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr's great. They might trade him to the Browns. And then it's sitting there with Baker Mayfield as your quarterback, who's still a good quarterback. But you're sitting there with so many question marks around the team. Their players keep getting sent to jail. Players come in for All-Star and then get sent to jail. Alvin Kamara. Vegas just is not a good place right now. Nobody's gonna want to go to Las Vegas because of everything going on there. They hired a head coach who I'm not too crazy on. It's Las Vegas. They kind of just did everything they could wrong.
Should have stayed in Oakland.
Should have.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Better. They're going to build up that D-line a little bit. They have draft picks. They're going to get another wide receiver who doesn't drop the ball so that their receivers don't lead the league in drops. But you got to consider that. Their star running back, Austin Eckler, was hurt for several games this season. Their receiving core led the league in drops, and somehow they were still the second most proficient offense behind the Chiefs this season. I mean, Herbert's going to get better. The receivers are going to grow. They might lose Mike Williams. They might keep him and franchise tag him. They're going to build the D-line. I think that this team can get better.
Right. I agree with you. They're going to get better. I would not be surprised if we saw a flip in which LA teams are at the top next season. Because tying into our next one a bit, I don't know who the Rams are keeping, but...
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah. LA, they should only improve. And this offseason, there should be drastic improvements.
Speaking of Los Angeles Rams.
Better, saying worse. I don't know. They might get better if they keep Odell and he stays healthy. They go another season. They get these pieces back. If they lose a piece or two, I think they'll be about the same. I still think that this team's really good. Worse if Aaron Donald retires. If they lose Aaron Donald, if Von Miller walks, if Odell walks, they're going to be in a much, much worse situation. Aaron Donald's come out and said that if he stays and plays again, it's going to be because they keep pieces. Von Miller says he wants to stay. Odell says he wants to stay. But Odell's going to want a paycheck. Even though he's super injury prone, he might get a 1-year prove it contract again.
Yeah.
Von Miller, he's going to be expensive. Aaron Donald, he's going to be expensive. You got to consider your cap space and everything. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
And Matt Stafford himself, like, there's a lot of contracts in question here. I don't know what the Rams are going to be next season.
Miami Dolphins.
Worse. They have a new head coach. He's a young head coach. It's going to take him maybe a little bit to sit in. I don't think he's going to do he did kind of the same thing that Sean McVay did when he came in. He surrounded himself by older, veteran assistant and head assistant coaches, which was the right move, definitely. I don't think Tua's that guy. The whole line still sucks. They still have no running back. I think they have a good receiving core. The defense might take a step back because they don't have that big defensive-minded guy like Brian Flores anymore. I think this team, the Bills are going to get better. New England's going to get better. I think this team's going to get worse.
I think they stay the same, but overall in the league, I think it's worse. I think for this season, like you said, with the new young head coach and hopefully the right draft pieces, I think they stay the same.
I mean, like I said, I'm looking at kind of thinking about record. They almost made the playoffs this year. They went 9-8. I think they're going to win 5, maybe 6 games next year. I think they're going to drop 3 or 4 games off the schedule next year. That's kind of where I'm looking at with them. I think this is the year that really proves that Tua is not that guy. But
Minnesota Vikings.
Step up. I think they'll get better. They have a better head coach. Justin Jefferson's coming in another season. They get a few pieces in.
When you said step up, I thought you were like, come on, Minnesota Vikings, step up. Come on.
Well, I mean,
that too, they better.
Yeah.
God. If Aaron Rodgers leaves, they have no excuse to not be the number 1 team in that division.
I'd agree. Yep, that's exactly what I would say. They're going to get better. They had their points last season where I thought they were a good team. They showed what they could be, so they should get better.
And then they lose to Detroit.
Yep.
New England Patriots.
I think they'll improve. I think Matt grows. There are apparently ties with them trading for Calvin Ridley. They do that. They get in a number 1 receiver. They got Mac. They give him his number 1. The defense is kind of getting older, but they can still go with that. They still have a great tight end. They have a deep, depth-wise running back core. They still have a good O-line. I think the Patriots can get better. I think Miami takes a step down. I think the Jets actually might get better, but I don't think they're going to get much better. Well, I'll save that for when we get to them. But I think that they have everything for them to get a little bit better and to grow.
I think New England stays the same. I think a lot of what we've seen with New England is a strong defense that carries a decent offense. But, I mean, what do we say about Mac Jones, right? He was a system player, system quarterback.
I mean,
a lot of
system.
It's a good system. But the big part of it is the defense. And like we've seen, I mean, you said yourself, they're getting older. They're still a good defense. They are getting older. It's going to come down to draft picks. I'm not sure how New England is looking in the draft right now, but they're going to stay the same is my first impression.
I want to say one thing about Mac. I recently watched a breakdown on Mac Jones as a quarterback because, I'm lame and apparently like 50 years old. But I watched
I did that for Giannis in the NBA. It's fine.
I watched it, and it kept referring back to the game between him and the Bucks with Tom Brady, and how his demeanor, his poise, how he looked on the sideline, like when the defense was going down, when Tom Brady was going down to win the game, he was sitting there cheering on his defense, ready to go. And when they scored, he didn't look sad. He didn't look upset. He looked like a guy who was ready to go out there and do the same thing himself. When you're looking at a team like the Buccaneers, and you're looking at Tom Brady with the demeanor of, I can do that too. I can prove this. And he had that demeanor multiple games that season. And we saw times where Mac Jones looked really good. I think we might have been a little bit wrong about him as a system quarterback. Is he still there right now? Yes. But I think Mac Jones has the ability to go out there and be better. I think he has more than enough of the growth, the talent, the IQ, and he's underneath a great system and with a really good head coach who can help him grow. You get him a guy like Calvin Ridley, I think he takes that extra step. And we might be talking about Mac Jones as a top 12 to 15. Like we might be talking about him like we talk about Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins. Like I think he can take that next step.
All right.
That little breakdown of him had me really hyped for Mac Jones. So I watched it like yesterday or the day before. So
I gotta say I like that demeanor a lot too. When you stare down a guy like Tom Brady and say, I can do that too. I really like that.
New Orleans Saints.
Worse.
Alvin Kamara, who knows about his playability? They're still in cap hell. My one thing about them, if they go out there and get Russell Wilson as a quarterback, I think that they get better. But every time they're looking to them getting Jameis Winston again, who, I mean, he showed last year he can be a good quarterback. I still think they're going to be around that. What were they? They were, 9-8. I think they'll be right around there again next year.
I think they get worse. I think they're going to lose too many big players and not be able to fill the gaps effectively. I think they can lose a game or two off that record. They'll be middle of the pack. It's just where they are right now.
New York Giants.
Same.
Avoid the rest of the NFC East.
The Giants currently have the highest paid wide receiver room in the league. They also have the least production from wide receivers in the league. That's terrible. But they're going to trade Saquon. Saquon might be getting traded. That's a big piece gone. That being said, Brian Dable is a very, very good head coach. I think he's going to be really good for that team. I'm going to go out on this is my big hot take for next year. I think Daniel Jones takes a step up. And I think he gets a little bit better. I'm not saying he's going to take that Josh Allen leap, but I think Daniel Jones gets a little bit better. I still think the rest of this team sucks. It's terrible. Constantly overpaying players. Still, I think Daniel Jones takes a little step up. I think Brian Dable is a very good coach. I think this team ends up being about the same.
I think they improve. I think you're right about Dable and Daniel Jones.
God, we're talking about the Giants. What are we?
Hold on. Not done yet. I think no matter how they improve, they're still going to find themselves playing second fiddle to Philadelphia. The Philadelphia and Dallas are just too good right now. Nothing New York can do will topple them. Maybe Daniel Jones does make a step. Maybe he does get better. Maybe Dable is just the cure-all that they wanted. They're not gonna beat Philadelphia or Dallas. Yeah. They'll beat Washington though, that's for sure.
New York Jets.
I think they get better. I think Zach Wilson at the end of the year looked really good. I think he takes a little bit of a step up. I still think this Jets team's pretty decent. They have a good little bit of a receiving core. Their O-line's all right. They need some defensive help. I think they need more defensive pieces. That being said, they have 2 first-round picks and a very good defense, O-line, and receiving core draft. 2 top 10 picks is pretty damn good. Thank you, Seahawks, for over-trading on Jamal Adams. I think they're going to keep growing. I think Robert Saleh was a pretty good head coach. I think he's going to be pretty good for them next year. The division's going to be super tough, though, because the Bills and the Patriots, I also think, are going to take a step up. I still think that the Jets can make that little bit of a step. I think they can be the third team in that division because I think Miami's going to fall off a cliff. I think the Jets get better. I think we're starting to see a time where these bad teams like Detroit and the Jets, who have been terrible for 10, 15 years, they're going to pull like a little bit of a Browns, where the Browns have kind of sucked and then the Browns got better. I think the Jets are going to get better. I think the Detroit's going to grow a little. We'll see, though.
I do think the Jets get better. I really do. Like you said, they've got amazing draft spots. To top 10 is crazy. There's only room to improve. Zach Wilson's a good quarterback. He's got a lot of potential.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
And I was worried about Luke being the biased
All
one.
right. Honestly, I think they get better. Either Jalen Hurts will improve like he always does and he'll get better, or we're going to trade and get in a guy like Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson like we're tied to. We're going to lose maybe some draft picks. They're going to build future draft capital. We're going to build up. We're going to get new guys in. We're tied to getting guys like Jesse Bates, I think, or we're getting safety help. We need safeties. We're going to get them. We need some middle linebacker, or we should get them. Our offense is going to get better. We're going to pick up a wide receiver in free agency to pair with Devontae Smith. We still have a top-tier tight end and a great O-line because Jason Kelsey's decided that he's not retiring. I think the only way this team can go is up. With 3 first-round picks, trades, Jalen Hurts is either going to improve or we're going to get in a guy like Russell Wilson or Deshaun. I think the Eagles will get better. I think that it's going to be a good season next year.
You don't sound so opposed to the idea of trading Jalen Hurts as much as you usually do.
No, I really am. I'm just trying not to be biased. Like I said, I really think that Jalen Hurts is going to improve. I really think he's our guy. That being said, apparently Russell Wilson has narrowed down his 2 trade teams that he wants to go to being, was it Washington and I think the Saints was the other team. I could be wrong. I don't remember what the second team was. But that was kind of one of those sources that's kind of questionable. So, and then Deshaun Watson, of course, having his big drama. I don't think we're going to trade at quarterback. There's been a lot of reports of how Hiro's been trying to make splashes in the quarterback market and everything. I'm kind of just getting prepared because Howie is known for making either really good trades or really bad ideas and draft picks. So we'll see. But my take on the Eagles is they'll get better. So
you say you don't want to be biased, but that's our whole podcast.
I'm trying. We got Luke over here saying the Lakers are going to regress because he doesn't like them. So I'm trying here. Someone here has to be less biased.
Hold on. Now, they're going to regress for other reasons, but I really don't like the Lakers. Back to Philadelphia, though. They're going to improve. They should improve. You have reason and ability to improve. You might make the playoffs again. I can see it. So is Dallas. I don't know if you become NFC champs, but you'll be there. And honestly, I'm excited for that because, hey, the times we played this year, I enjoyed them. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed them.
I didn't enjoy the second game because I had to deal with Dallas fans like, oh, look at us, we're so amazing. You played our backups and second-string quarterback. Calm down.
I find it really funny because whenever you guys are talking about the Eagles and the Cowboys, y'all refer to each other's teams as y'all's teams. You don't refer to it as like Dallas. You're like, you guys are going to do this. You guys are
Cowboys fans, so I got to refer to y'all as y'all because I'm still a Texan. Y'all is still my favorite vocab word. So
Pittsburgh Steelers. I
think they'll stay about the same. That division's getting really good. Big Ben's gone. They might get in Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, but at the same time, that O-line's still bad. They're losing Juju. The defense is still amazing, but the division gets better. There's too many questions on the team. I think they can either be same or better. I think even if they get in like a Jimmy G, it's going to be no different than having Big Ben. So, meh.
Yeah, I think they get worse. Because I don't think right now, save Aaron Rodgers on the off chance, I don't think they have the ability to get a guy better than Ben. Even as old and frankly as bad as Ben was in his last years, I don't think there's another quarterback available to them right now that could replace him and be better.
I mean, apparently there's been big draft talk to where they might trade up to get Malik Willis, who honestly is my number 1 quarterback for this draft. I think has an amazing arm. He's really an athlete. He just makes a lot of questionable decisions. But
that would be really interesting because it's like what do they have to give up to do that? And this Pittsburgh team's already
do what? Most people's third quarterback off the board behind Kenny Pickett. So I don't know how far he might fall, but they might not have to trade up. They might be like where the Patriots, who might have traded up 3 or 4 picks to get Mac Jones. I don't think they're going to have to trade up crazy far.
I don't know. I don't know where Pittsburgh is in the draft right now, to be honest with you. But I mean, the way things stand, it's going to be hard to get a better replacement for Big Ben. And like you said, they're losing options. Defense is good, but their O line sucks. There's a lot to fix. I think they get worse for one season before it starts to get better.
The
San
Steelers currently
Francisco.
have the 20th pick.
Hmm.
That took me a second to find.
There's no way that quarterback falls that far.
In this
Right.
draft, maybe. They maybe trade up 5-6 picks, but all right. Sorry, Tori.
Nope, I cut you off. Sorry. San Francisco 49ers.
Better. I think Trey Lance is a better quarterback. I think this team it's mostly going to be the same. Debo's still going to be good. George Kittle, Nick Bosa is going to have a really good season next year, especially not getting a single comeback player vote. I look at that and I'm insulted. Fred Warner's still great. I'm still big on this team. I think they'll take a step up.
It'll be the same. It all comes down to whether or not Trey Lance throws touchdowns, because if he does, they'll lose. No, San Francisco will be the same. They're bringing back a lot of stars. They should have the right replacement for Jimmy G. It's just going to be, it might take a little bit. That's what I'm worried about. It might take a little bit for San Francisco to figure it out behind center.
Well, they have all off season, so
Seattle Seahawks.
worse. They have no first round picks. They gave it to the Jets. The team still has way too much money it has to pay. Their defensive secondary is terrible. They don't know if they're going to fire Pete Carroll or trade Russell Wilson or both. Like, Russell Wilson might leave. He says he wants to stay. He still might go. There's so many question marks with this team, and they do not have the money or the draft picks to be able to build, which is why I'm kind of giving up a bit on Russell Wilson to the Eagles, because for a team that needs draft picks, the Eagles are probably the prime team to trade for with 3. So, this team I think they're going to get worse. I think that they're not getting any younger. They still don't have great pieces. DK Metcalf is still incredibly overrated. Tyler Lockett's still incredibly underrated. Jamal Adams is overrated. Bobby Wagner is amazing, but he might be getting traded. There's just too much going on with that team right now.
They're your worst. Pretty much the same reasons as you have, I do. So they're your worst.
Tampa Bay Bucks.
Worse, even if they get a guy like Deshaun Watson, if they get in Aaron Rodgers, if they get something like that, you're replacing Tom Brady. You have a ton of money you need to do. You don't know if you're going to be able to keep Chris Godwin or Gronk or many defensive pieces. Your secondary wasn't very good. You have to build that up. They got their year. I hope they enjoyed. This is I don't like this trend of old veteran quarterbacks going to a teams and trading to win, because you get like 1 or 2 good years and then you're done.
And then you just fall off a cliff. Yeah.
So teams like the Rams are in trouble. Teams like Tampa Bay, and people are want to say like, this is the move now. You just trade for a veteran quarterback and go win a Super Bowl and you're done. You're bad. You get 1 Super Bowl and then you're bad for another 10 to 15 years. That's not a good thing to do. That's terrible. You want to create a team that's going to win 2 or 3, go on a dynasty, like the Chiefs, like the Bills. I don't like this current move of trading for a veteran, going 1 good year, maybe winning, and then bailing out. Tampa Bay's now got to deal with the bailout, so we'll see what they can do.
They're falling off a cliff. It's going to be pretty obvious. Good luck.
Tennessee Titans.
Worse. Even with Derrick Henry, their quarterback's still Ryan Tannehill. Nobody in that organization sold on him. Nobody really big on him.
Every week.
They also have a large way to fall. They were the number 1 seed. So, but then you got to look at the other teams. The Colts get in a good quarterback, they're going to be really good. Houston and Jacksonville are going to grow and get better. Tennessee was aided by having a really easy schedule this year. I don't think their schedule is going to be as easy. I think that Ryan Tannehill still sucks. Look at Luke over here yawning at the fact of Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. Just unimpressive.
That's the dumbest transition I've ever heard. I think
Oh my gosh.
I think Tennessee stays the same as a team, but in the league they fall.
You got me yawning about the Titans over here. Jeez.
We just
any
gotta
Titans
stop
fans.
talking about the Titans. Like,
Sorry for embarrassing any Titans fans if they even exist.
We'll have the perfect thing for that. Washington Commanders.
Oh God, I want to talk about fans not existing. I think
yeah,
they're
because
going to get worse.
because they all fell out of the stadium when it broke.
I think they're going to be same or worse. They're either going to fix their quarterback situation and stay about the same, or they're just going to get worse. They still have no quarterback. There's still big question marks on the defense. I think Chase Young's going to come back and be really good. I think they can build and be better. I don't think that they're there yet. They need to get a quarterback. If they trade and get Russell Wilson, all to them, I'd be very happy to show all them ungrateful Eagles fans that Jalen Hurts can beat Russell Wilson and the Commanders, but it'll be what it is. So we'll see.
Washington is the only team in the NFC East that will not improve. It's how it is. If I said New York will find themselves playing second fiddle to Philadelphia again, guess who's going to find themselves playing second fiddle to New York again?
Well, with that, that'll be the end of this episode. Sorry for the long NFL segment. I got to milk my money out of them. Next week, we'll be moving on to other stuff, and you won't have to worry about that. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. You can find us on Spotify and iHeart every week, every Saturday, around noonish, whenever I get done editing. And YouTube videos will be up by Monday if you, for some reason, want to see what we actually look at.
Yeah, whenever I get done editing.
Whenever Luke gets done editing. Tori runs all our socials. Follow us on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, and do we have a Facebook? We don't have a Facebook.
We don't have a Facebook.
I've never had a Facebook.
Just those.
I was just listing socials. And
no Facebook. Sorry, guys.
Please follow us on this podcast platform. Leave a like if you're listening on Spotify. Rate us 5 stars. We definitely enjoy it. Make sure to tell all your friends. Ring the bell. Be part of the Noti Gang. You'll be updated every single time we update. Make sure you tell all your friends and loved ones and family members and even your enemies. We do not care about this podcast.
This is the longest outro.
Oh my gosh.
I've ever had.
You gotta build something up here, all right? Thank you, and we'll have a good one.
Peace.
See ya.
Podcast.